Linguistic presuppositions are about as close to magic words that you will ever find. Basically, linguistic presuppositions are complex sentences where you hide ideas. And the focus is over here, but the idea you're trying to get into the brain of your listener is over here. It's kind of like sleight of hand tricks from magic. If you're doing a magic trick and you're talking to the audience and you're doing something over here and you're telling a story and looking here and telling a story and looking here, the audience is looking here, but the magic happens over here. They don't notice it. This is a sleight of hand. Linguistic presuppositions are the same thing. You have this complex sentence, and the main idea of the sentence is over here, but the idea you hide inside the sentence is over here. For example, let's say I want you to buy a car. So I want to convince you that this car is popular. If I just say, hey, this car is very popular, that statement is out in the open and it's very easy to question. But if I take that statement or the idea that the car is popular and hide it in a bigger sentence, it can sound like this. One of the reasons this car is popular, or one of the reasons so many people like this car, is because of the titanium engine. Let's take a look at the titanium engine. And while you're looking at the titanium engine, while you're directing the customer's focus onto the titanium engine, they've essentially accepted the idea that the car is very popular. Not only that it's popular, but one of the reasons it's popular, which means there's other reasons. Now, this is the extent that most people teach linguistic presuppositions. But this is just scratching the surface of how incredibly powerful these language patterns are. A much deeper way to use linguistic presuppositions is to use linguistic presuppositional questions. Psychologists tell us that having a faulty memory is not a bug, but it is a feature. Because back in the days of hunter-gatherers, the name of the game wasn't who could have the best memory and they would reproduce the most. The name of the game was who could be the most productive, who could get the most stuff, who could acquire the most calories, who could slay the biggest monsters. And if you had a false memory that would support that, that would make you replicate better than everybody else. For example, let's say you're in a tribe of hunter-gatherers, a tribe of cave people, and one of your colleagues, one of your fellow cavemen was on a losing streak, and they could easily slip into a doom loop and start referencing all their past failures, and that would accelerate their doom loop. That would be bad for everybody, because everybody had a vested interest in everybody else's success. So one way to snap them out of their doom loop was to implant augmented memories in their brain using linguistic presuppositions or linguistic presuppositional questions. Because all of a sudden, instead of referencing their past failures, they're referencing past successes, even if those successes didn't happen. This is hard to accept for modern humans who have gone through our modern educational system and were brainwashed over and over and over again that you must remember accurately, you must remember accurately, you must remember accurately. But in the days of hunter-gatherers, that was not helpful. It was very, very helpful to remember things inaccurately if that projected you into a better future, a better, successful, productive future. And they've done modern experiments that validate this idea, that you can use linguistic presuppositions to implant false memories in people's brains. They show a bunch of test subjects a picture of a social scene. But critically, in the picture, there are no women, there's only men. And half the subjects, they say, describe the picture after they've seen it 10 minutes ago. And then they ask, are there any women? An open question, a non-presuppositional question. Are there any women? Yes or no? No, I don't think so. Okay. The other half, they ask them to describe the scene. And they say, what color shirt was the woman wearing? This question presupposes the existence of a woman. So all they need to do is think about that answer. They try to imagine a color, and as soon as they start to imagine a color, they've accepted the presupposition that there was a woman in the picture. And as soon as they guess a color, then they ask more presuppositional questions about the existence of a woman. Where was she sitting, on the right side or the left side? Was she sitting by herself or somebody else? What kind of expression did she have on her face? And the more of these questions they answer, the more they start to really believe that there was a woman in the picture when there wasn't. A few simple presuppositional questions can implant memories into people's brains that aren't true. Tragically, where this is used the most in modern society is in police interrogations. They get a guy in the police interrogation room and their intuition tells them this guy is guilty, but they don't have any evidence. So they need to get a confession. And so they ask presuppositional questions. Why did you kill her? When did you kill her? What did you do with the murder weapon after you killed her? These all presuppose that the guy murdered somebody. And if they get somebody in the interrogation room and he's in there for 4, 6, 8, 12 hours just getting worn down and his brain is being turned into mush, he'll start to actually remember falsely that he killed somebody. But even more insidious is a linguistic presuppositional question with an embedded double bind. A double bind is where you give somebody two options, but they both lead to the same thing. Would you rather go into a trance in the blue chair, or would you rather go into a trance in the red chair? Would you like me to come over to your house Tuesday night or Thursday morning to sell you some life insurance? So when they embed a double bind into a presuppositional question, one of them is a bad choice, one of them is a more easy choice, and they grab onto this easier choice like a lifeline. The problem is, as soon as they accept this choice, they've accepted the presupposition. Why did you kill her? Was it premeditated, or was it simply a crime of passion? Because I can understand that, because women make you go crazy. And after 8 hours of interrogation, this sounds like an escape hatch. And so they grab onto this, and they've essentially accepted that they've killed a woman. Now, you can use this technique not to convince somebody they've murdered somebody, but you can use this technique to make somebody feel fantastic for whatever reason you want to. Now, if you make somebody feel fantastic because they're talking to you while these fantastic feelings are bubbling up inside of them, they will subconsciously think you are the cause of these fantastic feelings, and there doesn't need to be any logical justification for that. That happens automatically. So you ask them about their past successes. When you think about some of your most recent successes, did they happen spontaneously, or did you deliberately plan them? As soon as they start to contemplate which one of these is more accurate, they will accept that they have a lot of recent successes, even if they haven't, even if they didn't think they had before the conversation. And that will give them the wonderful feeling of having a lot of recent successes. You can also project this out into the future. When you imagine your future successes, do you think they'll be spontaneous, or do you think they'll be successes that you deliberately plan? And as soon as they start to contemplate which one of these is the more accurate answer, they will accept that they will have a lot of future successes. So just a couple of questions during a conversation can implant the memory of having a lot of recent successes, and can implant the expectation of having a lot of future successes. So they will not only associate these good feelings with you, but they will associate their future successes with you, which will make them think of you in very, very positive terms. So try these linguistic questions out, see how well they work. If you'd like to learn more, hallucination techniques, learn more hypnotic techniques, and practice them in a live seminar setting so that you can become incredibly persuasive, so that you can become incredibly seductive, check out the links below. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you next time.